Good afternoon. So, I'm eating lunch and hopefully, not much later I will actually do the shopping that I planned. There was several delays, of course, all related to the zombies in the apartment. Let's do it without camera now. Okay, so can say that I'm in a very good mood. Of course, sound effects continuing, and I give you kind of like a taste of that with the boy Galili, and the sukkah. I am having this like several hours now. Maybe it means something, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't mean something, I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to, first of all, I should repeat something that I've said many times, but I think it's still pertinent. And then maybe we will discuss cosmology a little bit, even though I don't have like an inclination for that, but I don't want to, too much, keep it like at bay, as they say. Now I address humanity, not the Titans. As we say the following. You had within your reach, the tip of the hand, your hand, what could be described, as post-scarcity society. Even though I don't really like this term, because scarcity is mostly manufactured, and presumably the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century already created at least potentially post-scarcity society. I'm not the first to say it. Famously, the החתן של מרקס, פול פראג, הוא כתב ספרון קטן אבל מאוד מומלץ, לא זוכר איך קוראים לזה, בשבח העצלות או משהו כזה. Anyway, it's kind of like a funny Marxist criticism of work. Actually, several people followed him more seriously, both in the United States and maybe even more importantly in the... it's all the United States, but it's called Frankfurt. But it's already there that, this guy just, he just says that, okay, so, after the Industrial Revolution, now, people started to manufacture like 100 times more textile fabrics than before, but, mostly it didn't make them much richer. But I don't want to get into it right now, like to Marxist philosophy, even though I must say that, with time, I become more and more inclined to understand reality along Marxist lines. And I learned a lot from, the Father, God, the Father. Even though it should always be said that, the bane of humanity is not greed, but ego. ego is Satan, that, I mean, it's like it's a self-destructing power. It's not a material. I mean, look at everybody around you, like all over the world, certainly in Israel. These people, I mean, they do not serve their own purposes. Only in a very shallow way, but in the long term and even the medium term, they destroy themselves completely, again, and they are left with nothing. Ego was the problem, and ego destroyed humanity. It's not a new thing, but this is reality. But yes, apart from ego, people mostly, I mean, they follow the stomach. There is this famous joke, like, about, that, I mean, that Freud placed, I mean, that Plato placed everything, on the brain. And maybe I misquoted, like, Plato is like, placed everything on the brain. Like, with the idea that, I mean, actually, it's not that, I don't like speaking to the mirror, actually. That Plato, I mean, famously said that, I mean, the learned person cannot do wrong. And then Jesus placed everything on the heart, and Marx placed everything on the stomach, and Freud placed everything on the dick, on the genitalia. What is true is, and I understand it more than ever, that much of international politics is just done, in secrecy. I mean, more than, I mean, what is known to, I mean, of course, to some extent it is known to the public, but much more than that. To a point that democracy is just a lie. There is no democracy in this world. But moreover, most of what is the machination of these people, I mean, is always about the money. Certainly in Israel, but it's like that probably everywhere. Of course, it's not rational because humanity, I mean, just lost itself. And now it's time to just, I mean, say the obvious. If it's not obvious, then I should say it. I'm eating while I speak. Even if we leave the categories of post-scarcity aside, you had within your reach tremendous advances in medicine, in energy transformation, faster than light travel. And the only thing that you needed to do is just not to torture me. If 20 years ago, all of you, humans, would have decided not to torture me, by now, things like the COVID pandemic, it was impossible. This would have been a different world. Not just, I mean, not that it's not going to end as it is now, by spaceship beyond your imaginations, the imagination that are flying you and will kill everybody. And it's this Earth, eventually. No. Much moreover, if you just decided not to torture me, 20 years ago, this would have been a different world. And nobody asked you to adapt your religion, nobody asked you to, I mean, excel in any kind of values. No, nothing. Just don't torture this poor child. But no, you had to torture him again and again, paint him in the most cruel way. Torture him again and again, torture him, I mean, his wife, torture his children. You had to do it until the last moment. This is not the stomach, this is the ego. This is the snake. The snake, Satan, not the stomach. But of course the stomach is very important for humans. I mean, and it continued to be so to the last minute. what's going on now, in the last couple of days. You don't care about science. Yes, I'm not a scientist, but I have proven amazing stuff. Amazing things in thousands of videos. Most of it conducted in this room in a very rigorous way with microscopic evidence and all sorts of apparatuses that I explain. The material that you covet so much, the tea, you start wars for this material. I've demonstrated that I can reproduce it outside my body in containers using several multiple pests. You hear the zombie, multiple pests. It's actually not even the tea that you are used to. It's much better, much better than that. Tremendously better than that. Again, it's what I call the yellow Neros, as opposed, I don't call it tea, I call it the Neros, because they are robots. Primordial robots. We'll discuss it in a moment, the cosmology aspects. The yellow ones are tremendously better than the red ones. That's why I am tortured so much. Because the yellow ones are used, among other things, they can be used for, they are, the humans, never even care to think, to inspect, mostly in Earth, in the last, decade or 2 decades, they are used to facilitate the production of the red Neros inside the body of the females. Because these robots multiply with males and females. Actually, the yellow are not the male form, they are asexual. The brown ones are the Venusian male types. The yellows can imitate the brown ones, but they can multiply by their own selves. And this is documented in tremendous amount of videos. And instead of just that alone, could have, was enough for you to stop the torture. So much could have been, acquired. No, it's so, the torture is so much more important than everything. And all these ridiculous issues with the clones, operators, this is ridiculous. You have evidence, you have so much evidence, but you don't care. Probably during just 12 or 14 hours, I just burned quantities of yellow Neros that, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than anything that exists in Earth right now, after this red Nero apocalypse. But you don't care. Why should you care? The important thing is that I will be your mattress, I will be your shoe, I will be your robot, and I'll do whatever you say. And this is more important than everything. This is ego, this is not the stomach, this is the snake in the head. The snake in the head. But it's not just that I can replicate the tea. I've shown you that this is a civilization with far-reaching consequences. They are portals. They transfer energy and matter in a way unknown to humans at all. Of course, it's somewhat known to humans because you use portals to Venus for a long time. That's how you get your the companions for your homosexual and pedophile scumbags. These are the females, mostly. But I've shown you that these, actually, they start in the small microscopic and probably nanoscopic scale. And they grow up to huge starship size. And they preserve certain qualities in any kind of scale. Among these qualities is the portal quality. And not long ago, maybe 2 months ago, I've actually shown you in non-microscopic way they under certain configurations. After some time, several good days or weeks, I've successfully managed to create a live DC circle in this room. DC circle, which is used for electrolysis, something that I do a lot. I've done a lot in the last year, and this is documented in this channel. But this was a different type of electrolysis, very different, because yes, we had a transformer. This is transformer, wires, but not one container with liquid, but 2 containers with liquid. 2 containers, 2 metal containers. And each rod, the positive rod and the neutral rod, or the hot and the neutral, was placed in a different container, not into the same container as it is done in a regular electrolysis. And these containers were metallic, and they stood side by side, very close but not touching, over clay legs, small clay legs, on top of a glass table. And we've seen electrolysis. We've seen the bubbles that are the sign of electrolysis. And it was done, I mean, if it was, just for a second, you could have argued that, maybe, transformers are, to some extent, are capacitors, to a very small extent. So you could have said, maybe, okay, some energies, I don't know, in the capacitor, whatever, even just for a moment, I don't know what physics can explain it, even if it's just for one moment. I think it's impossible. But it wasn't for one moment. It was for several minutes, and it was shown that electrolysis is actually taking place. And it wasn't a chemical reaction of stuff that were already in the water, because when I stopped, when I switched off, it's immediately stopped. This was a live circle over air. Of course, not really over air, but because the under certain configuration, of course, it took me a lot of time, and it's not easy, and you get. It was a very low voltage electrolysis, of course, because the difference in potentials, between the neros was not great, but yes, we've successfully shown, this was documented in this channel, and it was in a video. A live DC circle over air. Of course, what actually happened is that, I assume, of course, I cannot actually watch it. I don't have the actual appliance for that. And I don't even know how can you actually watch it. Maybe it's impossible. It's too complicated, but we can only assume that there was energy transfer between neros, because they are. Never mind now all the technicalities, the tremendous amount of such. But what's almost certainly happened is that there were pairs of like stargates, but in a very small scale, many pairs, one in this container and one in the other container. And most certainly, because this is circle, as I understand it, there was, at least to my understanding, a passage of electrons. אלקטרונים חופשיים, מה שנקרא בלשון הידיוטות, between those gates. Anyway, humans don't care about it at all. They want me to be their whore, their mattress, their shoe, their robot. They don't care about such things. They don't care at all. Because it's not about, the brain, and it's not about the heart, and it's not about, maybe it's about the heart. No, in a general sense, yes, Jesus was the correct answer. It's about the heart, because Satan, the ego is placed in the heart, or lack thereof. But it's not the stomach, it's not even the genitalia. It's what these people want is to win the war against things that only are doing them good, but no, they want them to be eaten alive, because humanity, you are a race, a species of cannibals, and you should be deleted, and you will be deleted very, very soon. Very, very soon. No more taking children from sentient creatures, kidnapping them from their parents, and then condition them to be your slaves, and then many times facilitate suicide. This happened a lot. So you can eat these children. No more of this. We had enough of this. The price for Oren and Hila, my daughters that you've taken from me, is very, very simple. 8 billion human beings, not one less. Probably a little more. 8 billion human beings. This is the price. The price for Oren and Hila, my two daughters, now second and third grade, the price is 8 billion human beings. Now I'll stop here and maybe in a very short while I just want to eat my lunch and not while speaking, and maybe I'll then go to my shopping, or maybe I'll just conduct the cosmology part, because I want to get rid of it already. Again, I record not just for humans or even titans, but for future creatures. And I have the audacity to think that such creatures not only exist, but they will actually listen to these things. Hopefully, creatures that are not consumed by their ego.